Chapter 51 Dugu Yan's Anger. You are listening at Audio. In the two empires, the total number of advanced Soul Master academies is about 100, and each academy has a quota. However, because the two empires are the organizers, the officials of the competition will have some privileges, and there will be two quotas, respectively the Tiendo Royal Academy represented by our Tiendo Empire, and the Star Luo Royal Academy represented by the Star Luo Empire. Yufeng didn't expect these nobles to listen completely, so he had no choice but to continue explaining. These two official academies are divided into the home team and the vice team. The home team directly advances to the finals, while the vice team has to compete with the remaining teams in the qualifiers. Having said this, Yufeng paused for a moment and looked at the students again. Seeing them looking at him, he continued, after discussion with the education committee, it was unanimously decided that Yu Tianheng's team will directly advance to Wuhuan Hall. Participate in the finals, and you represent the vice team of Tiendo Royal Academy in this competition. Everyone here was not surprised to hear that, and they were not jealous that Yu Tianheng's team could directly advance to the finals. After all, the two teams often competed and were always beaten. Not only did they have no power to fight back, but they also had no chance of winning. Originally, the education committee wanted Wu Xing to join the first team as a substitute, but in the end, considering that your team lacked a powerful control-type Soul Master, Wu Xing had no such intention, so he stayed in the team. Yufeng originally wanted to call Wu Xing Yuan, but when the other party came back yesterday afternoon and approached him to discuss the matter, he revealed that he had originally used a pseudonym. Everyone expressed their understanding of this point. It is normal to use a pseudonym outside, especially if the other party is a Soul Master with 3,000-year soul rings, so it is especially important to protect oneself. In this Douluo Continent, countless geniuses have fallen, but not many have truly grown up. If they don't learn to protect themselves, even the most genius may fall, let alone the opponent who is a civilian Soul Master. After hearing the teacher's words, many students looked at Wu Xing in surprise. Unexpectedly, he actually refused to join the first team. You have to know that entering the first team, even as a substitute, is much better than the second team, no matter what aspect, but he would rather stay in this team. In an instant, everyone's eyes on Wu Xing increased a bit again. In addition, the qualifiers are held in different divisions. We are in the Tiendo City division, and there are only 5 qualifying places. According to the past practice, the bad thing is not to inflate other people's ambitions and destroy one's own prestige. The second team also started from there has never been a performance that can advance to the finals, basically hovering around the 10th range of the Tiendo division, and even the highest record is only 6th place. But with Wu Xing in this class, we hope to make an impact and win honors for the academy and the empire. Yufeng didn't talk about winning the championship. That's unrealistic. His biggest wish is to qualify. Although Wu Xing is strong and can crush a team of Dugu Yan, the competition is a 7-person team, and the power of one person is always limited. The other side, the assembled team members listened to the teacher's words, and Dugu Yan couldn't help but tell the instructor that they, Tiendo Royal Academy, would definitely win the championship. Of course, this is not talking about the first team, but from the second team, as long as the competition doesn't start immediately, with that guy Wu Xing here, and giving him another 10 months of development time, God knows what exaggerated level he will grow to. Looking at Dugu Yan who was so confident, it seemed as if he could easily win the championship. The new instructors were all dumbfounded. Not only him, but also Yu Tianheng and others looked confused. Their Tiendo Royal Academy, no, but all the academies, have always been in fear of being dominated by Wuhandian Academy. Now the two people say that Tiendo Royal Academy will definitely be able to defeat Wuhandian Academy. Why don't they surprise everyone? Yan, even if Wu Xing easily defeated you last time, you wouldn't be so powerful. Yeah, in any competition, Wuhandian Academy won the championship easily. Yes, deputy team, this is not a single-player competition. No matter how powerful one person is, how powerful can he be? As long as Wu Xing is restrained, their two teams cannot beat us, and even the Wuhandian Academy. Members of the first team expressed different opinions, but none of them were optimistic about it. What do you know? Dugu Yen rolled her eyes at them. If she hadn't considered the other party's privacy, she would have wanted to tell everyone about Wu Xing's trump card. There were so many martial spirits, including the soft bone rabbit, the white tiger, the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, the blue silver emperor, and a powerful murderous martial spirit that they didn't even tell them about. They couldn't just beat up their peers casually. Even though his martial spirit is only level 31 now, he has only awakened his martial spirit for a few days, not to mention the innate talent of level 30 soul power. Are you kidding me? Seeing Dugu Yen, he was convinced that Wu Xing could win the championship. Everyone looked at each other in shock. Yu Tianheng even said with shame, Yen, have you fallen in love with that boy? Yes, Dugu Yen is attracted to that guy. Dugu Yen admitted very generously that after 2 days of contact, she no longer likes other boys. When everyone heard this, they were startled again. Good guy, they called him good guy in their hearts. That boy had only been in the academy for a few days, and he already hooked up with their goddess. Okay, now I understand why you said that. Yu Tianheng said helplessly, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, that's how the other person is now. After just one sparring session, she became the other person's little crush. When the new instructor heard this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He really thought that Wu Xing was hiding something, so he went to the education committee to try to abduct him, but now he felt that it was not necessary. Thinking of this, the instructor also joked, Yanzi, originally the education committee planned for Wu Xing to join your team as a substitute, but he refused. You may be disappointed. In order to quickly integrate into the students he led, the instructor also worked hard and joked. What? When Dugu Yen heard this, his eyes widened. Damn it, how could that guy refuse? Yi Lingling was also slightly startled. Although she rarely spoke, she still hoped that the other party could become her team member if she had the chance. In this way, the time for both parties to be in contact will increase. After more time, there will naturally be hope for developing a better relationship. Lingling, do you think that guy doesn't like us? Duguian, who came back to his senses, said to Yi Lingling bitterly. Yi Lingling's face suddenly turned red. He looked at his mentor and teammates who were looking at them, and said awkwardly, Sister Yan, maybe it's because of Sister Ruashi. This bastard, I must ask him clearly what's wrong with joining our team. Why don't Sister Ruashi come with us? Dugu Yen didn't even notice that all the team members were opening their mouths, and he was still talking angrily. The new tutor's jaw was almost dropped. He was shocked by Duguian's words. What do you mean, Sister Ruashi can come with you? Is Tindo Royal Academy your home? Whoever you want can come. Oh, my grandpa is a Titled Douluo, so that's okay. Chapter 52 Mimicry Practice. You are listening at Audio. Team integration and cultivating everyone's tacit understanding. The best way to fight as a team is to fight. The mimic environment is a training ground created for this purpose. Although it is not as effective as entering the soul beast forest for actual combat, it is more convenient. After all, students cannot be allowed to stay in the wild. In addition, mimicry training can simulate the most suitable environment for training oneself based on one's own martial soul, thereby speeding up the training of soul power. It is not easy to find a suitable place for oneself in the soul beast forest. After instructor Yu Feng explained the soul master competition to everyone, he led a group of people to the mimic training venue. In front of you is a large semicircular building, divided into 4 floors, with rows of gates glowing with light curtains standing in it. On each floor, there are probably dozens of them at a glance. The first floor has the most rooms, the second floor has a little less, the third floor has even fewer, and the fourth floor has the least, with only 5 rooms in total. Wu Xing, this is the mimicry training place of Tindo Royal Academy. When the academy is not gathering, you can come here to train alone. The first floor is the mimicry room for attacking soul masters, and the second floor is the mimicry room for controlling soul masters. The third floor is where the auxiliary soul masters are, and the top floor of the fourth floor is the team training room, but be careful not to disturb anyone. The green light on the mimic training door means there is no one, and the red light means there is someone. Because it was Wu Xing's first time here, Yu Feng went out of his way to explain it to him before entering the mimicry room. Okay, teacher Yu Feng. Wu Xing nodded. Seeing that Wu Xing understood, Yu Feng led a group of people towards a room with a green light on the top floor of the building. Today's training is mainly about team building, cultivating tacit understanding and collaboration skills, so we are entering the top level. The room was completely white upon entering, except for a soul guide that looked like a game console from a previous life. Yu Feng casually clicked a few times on the buttons above, and soon the entire snow-white room began to change, turning into a huge forest. There were dense woods everywhere, mixed with the roars of some soul beasts, as if the human body was shaking. In the soul beast forest, looking at the changing scene in front of him, Wu Xing was a little amazed. It was indeed a form of mimicry, and his senses were no different from the real thing. Okay, the teacher has set up a 10,000-year-old soul beast inside for you. Your goal today is to persist for an hour. Yu Feng said slowly. As soon as Yu Feng's words came out, everyone's expressions changed except for Wu Xing. Shuihui even said with a downcast face, Teacher, are your demands too harsh? A 10,000-year-old soul beast is equivalent to a human soul emperor. How can they deal with a group of soul emperors in their early 30s? Although you won't die in a mimic environment, it really hurts to be injured. I didn't ask you to kill it, and you have a huge advantage in numbers. There are 11 of you. If you cooperate well, are you afraid that you won't be able to hold on? Yu Feng said unceremoniously, although Yukiteru is the grandson of Prince Yu Xing, he still has to take a tough attitude sometimes when it comes to training. Okay, let's get started. Seeing what Shuihui was about to say, Yu Feng interrupted him with a wave of his hand. Soon, before anyone could react, a huge orangutan appeared in front of everyone. Violent chimpanzee. Seeing this soul beast, everyone's faces turned dark again. This soul beast typically has high attack, high defense, and low agility. It can take a punch without vomiting blood. As soon as the gorilla appeared, he slapped his chest suddenly, and then rushed towards them. Seeing this, everyone quickly activated their martial spirits. In an instant, various martial spirits appeared, and soul rings rose from the soles of their feet. Wu Xing's 10,000-year soul ring was the most eye-catching no matter where it was. The 4 substitutes who had just joined were so stunned that the gorilla rushed in front of them and did not immediately dodge. This is not their fault. Although they have heard that Wu Xing has 3 10,000-year soul rings, the visual impact of seeing it with their own eyes is huge, but after this stunned moment, it was already too late to avoid it. What are you doing? Yu Feng's face turned green when he saw it. The 4 substitute students who had just met had made serious and stupid mistakes. How could they be left in the soul beast forest? Afraid of not dying on the spot. But in the midst of shock and anger, Wu Xing had already taken action. The first soul skill, entanglement. In an instant, countless vines emerged from his hands and quickly wrapped around the Tyrannosaurus. The vines that could have been controlled for a long time against the Millennium Soul Beast were torn apart by the gorilla in a short time, but fortunately, this was enough for the 4 substitute members to react, and they all jumped and scattered to avoid its heavy blow. Boom! The Tyro's fist, which was bigger than a basketball, hit the ground directly, making a loud noise and splashing up a piece of soil with turf. The violent chimpanzee, which missed the attack, roared angrily and rushed towards Wu Xing, because it was this guy who gave it the pigtails just now. As soon as Wu Xing looked at the violent chimpanzee charging towards him, he quickly dodged and moved quickly towards a shelter. Will this thing consume stamina? Wu Xing asked while running. Su Ruoshi, who was flying over Wu Xing, quickly replied, Yes, hubby, it is a soul beast that simulates the outside world. It also has consumption. If you attack it, it will bleed, and if you kill it, it will dissipate. Hearing Su Ruoshi's answer, Wu Xing breathed a sigh of relief. He was really worried that the physical strength of the virtual soul beast was endless. Since it would be consumed and injured, he suddenly had an idea and hurriedly rushed to Shuihui and the others. Said, Get ready to attack it. If the simulated soul beasts have endless physical strength and soul power, their best way is to dodge separately, but if they are the same as real soul beasts, then attack is the best defense. Ah! Shui was stunned. His idea was to effectively conserve his soul power to dodge. He might be able to survive in the hands of this furious gorilla for an hour, but taking the initiative to attack would not speed up the consumption of his soul power. If he could survive for an hour, 4 hours, I couldn't hold on for the last half hour, but Wu Xing's words made him hesitate. In the Sunset Forest, the opponent had shown strong commanding ability, and he could easily cooperate with the 2,000-year-old spirit beast. Ah, what, Zhang Minghui, used the roar of a wild lion to shock its ears. I will use blue-silver grass to control it. During the control period, you take this opportunity to attack with all your strength. Repeat like this. Wu Xing ran quickly while, loudly told everyone his plan. The gorilla is very fast and can easily dodge everyone's soul skills, and it can only be attacked at the moment it is controlled. Okay. Shui didn't hesitate after hearing this, mobilized the soul power in his body, and was ready to take action at any time, but Zhang Minghui did his part, jumped into the air, and launched a deafening sonic attack towards the violent chimpanzee in front. Ruoshi, bless me with the resilience of blue-silver grass. Wu Xing said before he came. Su Ruoshi didn't hesitate and whispered, the second soul skill, evening song. Third soul skill, spider web restraint. Wu Xing quickly turned around and used the third soul skill. The vines were like a spider web covering the tyro that was about to rush in front of him. With the support of Su Ruoshi's auxiliary soul skills, the blue and silver rattan has changed from the original blue to 7 colors. Although it is not bright, the change can still be seen. It's time to take advantage of it now. Wu Xing shouted again while the spiderweb-like vines covered the huge body of the gorilla. Everyone who heard this didn't even think about it, and used the soul-destroying skills. In an instant, all kinds of gorgeous skills hit the Tyrannosaurus solidly, causing it to roar and scream in pain. After a round of solid attacks, even though the Tyro's defense was high, there were spots of charcoal mixed with blood all over its body. That's it, let's kite and grind slowly. Seeing that the cooperation was successful, Wu Xing couldn't help but say, it's not his style to hold on for an hour. What he wants is to kill this 10,000-year soul beast, otherwise it would be too inferior. Roar. The gorilla took less than 3 seconds to struggle out of the spider web, let out a roar, and once again rushed towards Wu Xing's position angrily. However, Wu Xing was not in a hurry and ran away. He jumped back and used the spider web restraint again. With this cooperation, I don't know how long it took, and I don't know how many rounds passed. From the initial rage, the Tyrannosaurus gradually began to lose physical strength, and its attacks also slowed down. Finally, it fell heavily to the ground and dissipated into light spots. We actually killed the Tyro-chimpanzee. Everyone looked in disbelief as they looked at the chimpanzee that had disappeared. Not only could they not believe it, even Yu Feng at the door opened his mouth in shock, but as a teacher, he quickly understood and applauded Wu Xing's command. In fact, there are several main reasons for being able to successfully kill Tyrannosaurus, that is, the team's soul skills did not make a single mistake, and the reason why there were no mistakes was because the control time of more than 2 seconds was enough to become a living target for everyone, otherwise it would have been avoided. For several seconds. This time, the consumption of soul power alone was not enough to kill it. Another point is that the soul skills of this violent chimpanzee are all about strengthening himself and the like. There are no long-range attack methods. If he had these attack methods, his death would not be so painful. Chapter 53, High Ideological Awareness, 3 updates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After returning from the Mimicry training ground, Wu Xing unknowingly discovered that his soul power had increased by 1 level. Husband, has your soul power level increased? Su Ruoshi opened her sexy little mouth slightly, with surprise in her beautiful eyes, after learning that it was only 6 days between the awakening of his martial soul and the upgrade. It was now only 4 days since his last upgrade before he was upgraded again. This speed completely subverted ordinary people's imagination. Is this the talent of level 30 innate soul power? It's so terrifying. Su Ruoshi originally thought that after taking the fairy grass, her soul power level instantly rose to level 39, so she didn't have to worry about her strength for the time being, but now she was a little panicked. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to keep up with her man. As a woman, as a smart woman, I understand that if you want a man to love you all the time, you can't just be a vase. Especially in this world where the strong is respected. Of course, Wu Xing's soul power has improved. And she is sincerely happy for her man. After all, what woman doesn't want her man to become better and better? Because of this, she became nervous inside. She could no longer waste time and had to speed up her training just to keep up with the man. Wu Xing didn't know that Su Ruoxi had so many thoughts in an instant, and nodded with a smile. Well, I have upgraded. It may be the first time to enter the mimic training ground, or it may be the first time to fight against the 10,000-year soul beast. In fact, he didn't expect that he would level up so quickly. As expected, fighting was the fastest way to increase his soul power level. Husband, you are so amazing. Su Ruoxi's eyes were full of stars. Wu Xing couldn't help but smile when he heard this, because there was a big battle in the morning. Everyone's soul power was consumed a lot, so they had free time in the afternoon. Wu Xing and Su Ruoxi went to the cafeteria to have lunch and then returned to the dormitory. Today's diary has not been updated yet. After Wu Xing told her, he started writing. Su Ruoxi didn't bother him. Although she couldn't see the diary panel in front of Wu Xing, it didn't stop her from holding her chin and admiring her man's serious look. Good afternoon, all beauties. As always, Wu Xing's first line started with a cordial hello to the girls. The girls also immediately received a reminder of the copy of the diary, and those who were not busy opened it one after another and started reading. After getting the resurrection skill yesterday, I plan to test it today to see if there is any relationship between the reward and the number of words. Just what should we talk about today? It's a problem. Ever since I learned that you have many beauties from Zhutian Zongman, I don't know how to write about them. After all, you come from different animations. I guess some of you really want to understand the world you live in. But I am only one person, and there are so many worlds. Even if I write, I don't know which of your worlds to talk about. Plus, what I talk about may not necessarily be what you want to know, which is really difficult. So for my own good, your own good, her own good, and for the sake of a harmonious diary environment, a bowl of water should be balanced, and I cannot favor one over the other. Let me continue to talk about the Douluo Continent where I am now. Seeing Wu Xing chattering about apologizing, but finally returning to the original topic, the girls all rolled their eyes. This guy knows how to make up the numbers to get rewards. There are so many words in the opening chapter, and it's as if he didn't say them. I returned to Tiendo Royal Academy from Tiendo City yesterday afternoon. After 3 days of rest, today I finally experienced the academy life in another world. It is different from the campus life before I traveled. It is very free and the atmosphere is very good. I like it very much. To use a popular saying in my previous life, with such a campus atmosphere, sexy beauty instructors giving online lectures, no student would miss class. Seeing the happy tone expressed by Wu Xing, the beauties in Douluo Continent all smiled happily. If the owner of the diary likes their world so much, doesn't it prove that their world is good? How can they be unhappy? Even Bo Saishi on Poseidon Island rarely smiled knowingly when he saw these lines from Wu Xing. Not to mention Bibi Dong, this kid has a very high level of ideological awareness and deserves praise. These few words of the other party seem to have nothing to do with them, but they had inadvertently praised them all. Who doesn't like to hear such kind words? Still in front of the beauties from all over the world, I feel very accomplished just thinking about it. The team I am currently on belongs to the second team in Tiendo Royal Academy. Before talking about this team, let's first talk about what kind of learning model this World Academy is. First of all, its model is slightly different from some sects and schools in your world. Instead of all gathering together to form a whole class, it focuses on cultivating a few people into a team. Because of the martial arts, several different soul masters can complement each other when paired together, and 1 + 1 can be greater than 2. This is similar to the ninja school of beautiful Tsunade in the Naruto world, but instead of a team of 3 people, there are 7 people in a team. Among them, I became a member of the second team in this academy mode. As for what the second team is, you must have guessed it. It is the team with the second strongest overall strength in the entire academy. Seeing Bibi Dong here, she suddenly became a little angry. Are the Education Committee of Titled Royal Academy a bunch of short-sighted guys? They actually assigned a soul master like Wu Xing to the second team. It's okay if I don't know if my innate soul power is level 30, but this guy has 3,000-year soul rings. You can't be blind, can you? The soul master who carries 3,000-year soul rings is the only one in the entire continent. You don't understand the gold content in it. While Bibi Dong was fighting for Wu Xing, he was also angry that Wu Xing didn't come to see her. When you come, the Pope will directly arrange for you to join the first team of Wuhandian Academy and focus on training, no, personally teach you. Even if you want to be jealous, it's not something we can't discuss. Are you so afraid of me? As a member of this team, today the instructor told us about the upcoming Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition, and also brought 4 substitutes. Oh, by the way, the Continental Senior Soul Master Elite Competition is a stage for academic exchanges between colleges founded by various forces in the world. Held every 5 years, it is the most solemn event in the continent. Since martial arts are prevalent in Douluo Continent, the way of communication is naturally to compete with martial spirits in battle. Of course, you smart people should be able to think of the purpose of holding this competition, which is to select talents, compete for resources, and increase the influence of the forces behind it. Speaking of this, I have to mention that according to previous practice, the Wuhandian Academy trained by Dongmai has always won the championship easily. But you must have seen what I mentioned in my previous diary. This time something went wrong in the competition, and the championship fell to the Shrek Academy, the so-called son of destiny Tang San. But I will also participate in the competition this time, so I will definitely not let that hypocritical guy succeed like the original plot. Chapter 54 Shui Binger wants to break up with her sister. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of course, I have no interest in the championship. I simply want to see the grand scene of soul masters in this world. When the time comes, I will record it and upload it to my diary, so that all the beauties from Zhutian Zongman can experience the otherworldly style. But having said that, the second team of Titled Royal Academy, in the original plot, was a stumbling block for Tang Sanchin to get out for a minute. I don't know if it will happen again, haha. What a joke, you're already in this team, what's the matter with that little brat? All the participating college beauties complained. This competition will be divided into several competition areas. Let's talk about the Tiendo competition area. In the Tiendo division, in addition to the Tiendo Royal Academy team that was sent to the finals, there are 5 qualifying places, and these 5 academies will eventually be Shenfeng Academy, Shrek Academy, Tianshui Academy, Blazing Academy, and Thunder Academy. Perhaps my arrival will produce some butterfly effects. Maybe you can beat up the beauty contestant with a copy of the diary. So the above is for reference only and cannot be used as the final basis. Especially Huo Wu from Blazing Fire College, you have to be careful. You have the lowest overall strength among these 5 colleges. Don't accidentally overturn. How is that possible? When Huo Wu saw this, he immediately asked loudly, which made the teammates training beside him extremely surprised, her college is actually the weakest among the qualifying teams. You must know that she has been preparing for this competition for several years and is bound to get the top 3, but what did the owner of the diary say? It's dangerous for her to even qualify. Can't even get out of line. After all, if Wu Xing participates, his team will need a spot, doesn't that mean she will be eliminated? Can't even make it to the finals. This makes her mentality not collapse. Xiao Wu, what's wrong with you? Huo Wushuang asked quickly as he looked at Huo Wu, who suddenly shouted angrily for no reason. He found that something was wrong with his sister recently. She was often in a daze or talking to herself. This was not the first time. Huo Wu glanced at his brother, shook his head and said, "It's nothing, brother. Let's continue training. Starting today, the weight will be doubled." Ah! The team members who heard this almost staggered and fell to the ground, even Huo Wushuang's whole face fell down when he heard this. Doubling the training volume? I'm afraid it won't kill everyone. What, do you have any objections? Huo Wu raised his eyebrows and said coldly, even though she was the vice-captain, she had the right say for the entire team, and even the captain Huo Wushuang had to listen to her. No. No. Huo Wu, who was about to get mad at the sight of everyone, was so frightened that he quickly shook his head and started training. Among these 5 colleges, the one that impressed me the most is Tianshui College. This college is composed of all girls. Women can also hold up half the sky, I'm talking about them. And they are all a group of fair-skinned, beautiful and long-legged young ladies. I don't know how many of you got a copy of the diary. I guess there are at least 2, Shui Binger and Shui Yuer, you 2 sisters. Tianshui College. Sister, the owner of the diary, really guessed it right. Shui Yuer was holding a copy of her diary and said with surprise when she saw this, the face that looks like Kiva's and the way she blinks her eyelashes and eyebrows is very cute and charming. I saw it. Shui Binger nodded. She and her sister both got copies of the diary, but the other team members did not. Seeing her sister nodding, Shui Yuer thought for a while, and then said curiously, Sister, do you think Wu Xing is handsome? Upon hearing this, Shui Binger was immediately speechless by the younger sister's words. After a moment, she cursed angrily, Shui Yuer, what are you thinking about all day long? Yes, Shui Yuer is the most famous face controller in animation. I mentioned Tianshui Academy so solemnly, of course not because they are all beautiful ladies. Don't get me wrong. Girls, do you think we will believe it? They were known as the Tianshui girl group in my original world and attracted countless fans. And I also want to ask on behalf of these fans, Bibi Dong, do all the ladies from your Tianshui college have dancing skills? Why do you show off some dance skills when you appear on stage? Is it true that people without dance skills cannot join your academy these days? What is it? Shui Binger was stunned for a while when she saw it. When the diary sent her annotations, she felt bad. What was this guy talking about? What does it mean to show off your dance on stage, and what does it mean that you can't join Tianshui Academy without dance skills? Don't think that because you are the owner of the diary, I won't dare to sue you. Believe it or not, I will sue you for slander. The diary system slandered me in our Tianshui college. As such a grand competition in the whole continent, it is natural that there must be some performances. Their Tianshui College and Botany College just take turns to arrange a show from the empire to add to the fun, okay? It is a performance, not a show-off dance. Of course, this wasn't the most bloody thing Shui Binger said. What Wu Xing said next made her want to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. She even wanted to sever ties with her sister. This shame would be thrown into another world. Also, I would like to ask Bibi Dong if your sister is a beauty. I am 18 years old. No, I am 23 years old. I am 1.8 meters tall. My appearance is comparable to that of readers. I wonder if I am lucky enough to be your brother-in-law. Shui Yuer. Shui Binger roared angrily, his tone so loud that it reached the sky, and his eyes stared at her so hard that they almost burst out of fire. Look at the good things you've done. You've been thinking about handsome guys all day long. Now it's better. All diary holders know it. Shui Yuer ran away long before her sister got mad. She knew something was wrong when she saw this. Luckily she was smart and escaped from the attack range first. Shui Yuer had a look on her face and praised herself for being smart. At the same time, a portrait of Wu Xing was still forming in her mind. Well, at this moment, the little dolphin in front of me is still thinking about men. When Shui Binger saw this, she almost died of anger. As a sister, how could she not know the virtues of her sister? If the owner of the diary was really handsome, her sister would definitely give it to her without any hesitation. Ahem, sorry ladies, I have an occupational disease, so I take back what I just said. Let's return to the topic again. Although the entire Tianshui Academy team is composed of young ladies, their strength cannot be underestimated. In the end, we tied with Shrek Academy, which is considered the only one. It's just a pity that you are not the protagonists of this world, and you can't keep up with the growth rate of the protagonist group, resulting in your regrettable exit in the finals. To be honest, in my opinion, that double standard Tang San didn't cheat, wasn't blessed by luck, didn't get all the opportunities God sent to him, and his talent was simply not as good as Binger's beauty. Sister, look, Wu Xing is praising you. Just as he was about to rush up to teach his sister a lesson, Shui Binger quickly pointed to the copy of the diary and said. Shui Binger snorted coldly, don't think you can escape by saying this. After humming, he lowered his head and looked at the diary. Chapter 55 Bibi Dong said Wu Xing is a black fan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After talking about the Tiendo Academy competition area, let's talk about the Xinluo competition area. Actually, I don't know much about this competition area. The main anime revolves around Son of Destiny. So there is very little information about this division, but the Star Luo Royal Academy team is still quite outstanding. As for the other teams, they are basically in one round, and there is nothing worth introducing to you. Of course, if I guessed correctly, Zhu Zhuyun, you should also have a copy of the diary. Your sister Zhu Qing is a member of Shrek Academy. I don't need to say more about the outcome, right? Speaking of these two sisters, what is more interesting is that the family they belong to is really a family where interests come first. For the sake of competition, it is completely normal for brothers and sisters to kill each other regardless of family ties. Even to prevent possible future troubles, my elder sister chased my younger sister all the way from the Star Luo Empire to the Tiendo Empire. She was your own sister, so you could really kill her. You have a good conscience. I disagree with such a family, and I don't know what you beauties think of it. Considering that you may not be able to resist the fate of your family, and you are all my pen pals, let me give you a suggestion. You all have the great opportunity of having a copy of the diary. How about we discuss overturning this damn clan rule together when we have the ability? Star Luo Royal Academy, Zhu Zhuyun suddenly became interested when the owner of the diary mentioned the competition area she was in, but the next second the opponent's words made her feel bad. The teams in the emotional Star Luo division had nothing good to say, and even her team was just brushed aside. This made Zhu Zhuyun, who had always been proud, unable to accept it, but then she saw Wu Xing talking about the Zhu family's affairs, and she was touched. If it wasn't the arrangement of the family elders, how could she be so cruel as to hunt down her sister? Even during the pursuit, she kept secretly letting her sister escape from Xinluo, a country without any emotion at all. Otherwise, how could her sister successfully leave alone? The killers arranged by the elders alone were not something she could deal with. She had always been dealing with them, but she couldn't tell anyone about this matter. Now that she was awakened by the owner of the diary, she had the idea of resisting. Yes, she and her sister both got copies of the diary. The rewards these days also made her understand the power of the system. Perhaps, it is not certain that the rules of this family can be overturned, but can Zhu Qing still trust her sister? Shrek Academy, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong were startled when they saw this, and then looked at Zhu Qing with concern. They didn't expect that sister Zhu Qing would have such an experience. No wonder she usually acted coldly, but it turned out that she had encountered such an unfortunate thing, the family's ruthlessness and their sister's pursuit. They couldn't imagine how the other party survived and how he escaped from the Star Luo Empire. Sister Zhu Qing. Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong looked at each other, took her hands and comforted her. Looking at Xiao Wu and Rongrong who were caring about him, Zhu Qing's already silent heart beat a beat. He smiled slightly and said with a forced smile, I'm fine, Xiao Wu, Rongrong. Seeing Zhu Qing's forced smile, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong looked at both sides again, and then said, Sister Zhu Qing, Wu Xing is right, you couldn't resist before, but now that you have a copy of the diary, you don't have to. Before you accept your family's fate, you must resist boldly. Yes. Zhu Qing nodded heavily. The copy of the diary brought her hope. After talking about the two competition areas, now we will focus on Wuhundian Academy. This academy was trained by the Bibi Dong. The martial soul level of the entire team crushes all the participating academies. Originally, relying on this advantage, I could indeed win the championship easily. But Donger, you made a serious mistake. This guy is here again. If you don't tell me why, this Pope will never be done with you. Bibi Dong said bitterly. She can now be sure that the other party is her anti-fan, otherwise why would he target her every time? Although Bibi Dong was extremely angry, she still continued reading. She wanted to know what mistakes she had made in the original work. You once said that a lion must fight a rabbit with all his strength. This is true, but have you ever heard that water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it? In my opinion, the reason why Shrek Academy won the championship was not because Tang San was a cheater, but because you focused all your attention on your 3 most proud students and ignored the other 4 students. This is the real reason why the championship was finally given away. Although the talents of those 4 students are not comparable to those of the 3 members of the Golden Generation, their existence cannot be ignored. You must know that even if their talents cannot compare with the Golden Generation, their soul power level is still able to crush all the Shrek members. But in the end, these 4 people actually failed to perform as well as they should have, and were easily solved by the other Shrek students when they found the opportunity. This is outrageous. When I saw this, I really wanted to vomit. Your opponent's soul power level is overwhelming, but you are unable to fight back. It proves that you don't value them at all, and you are a dispensable existence. This is a 7-person team competition. The main focus is on coordination. 1 + 1 is greater than 2, which is not reflected at all. And Nana, you too, only think about 3 versus 7, who will lose if you don't lose. Therefore, your defeat is not that Tang San is a loser, but that you despise your own students and your teammates. A team that doesn't know how to cooperate, and a mentor who doesn't know how to value the people under it, no matter how powerful it is, will not be able to go far if their soul power level crushes the opponent. If you haven't encountered them before, it's because you haven't encountered any enemies that are difficult for you. Whenever you encounter them, you will be a failure. In this regard, you can learn from the girls of Shui Academy. They cooperate very well and each person has a clear division of labor, so they can tie with Shrek Academy in the early stage. Is this so? Bibi Dong muttered to herself when she saw this. If she was still a little suspicious of Wu Xing before, but after the other party said this, she did ignore the other 4 students. Water can carry a boat, and it can also overturn it. There is nothing wrong with what she said. It seems that she does need to make some changes. Nana and the others are important, but the people at the bottom also need to be paid attention to. They cannot be ignored. They can also play a huge role at critical moments. When Hulaina saw this, her pupils shrank slightly. She, her brother, and he had always been in a small team, so they dismissed the other students. They thought that the 3 of them were strong enough to deal with any problem, but they never thought that sometimes, an inconspicuous person could decide the outcome. Chapter 56 Awesome Lollipop. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In fact, failure means failure. After all, life will not always go smoothly, nor will it go as you think. How can you achieve success without experiencing setbacks? How can you see a rainbow without experiencing ups and downs? It's just that in the original plot, none of you expected Tang San's viciousness. Huh? Bibi Dong's eyes narrowed. When she saw these lines from Wu Xing, she felt that something was going to happen. The same is true for Hulaina. She always feels that Wu Xing will reveal some shocking secret next. Sure enough, the following lines verified their suspicions. I have said that Tang San is hypocritical and has double standards. He can slap you in the face, but you cannot slap him in the face. If you hit him in the face, he will definitely pay you back 100 times 1,000 times, not to mention you injured him during the game. To him, there is no difference between you and me seeking death. So after the competition, the 6 Wuhandian students were poisoned by Tang San and needed him to detoxify them, so they tricked everyone. That's when he was detoxifying Nana and you, using his 8 spider spears with attached soul bones to absorb the toxins while also absorbing your vitality and talents. What? Bibi Dong looked at it, her pupils dilated instantly, and anger filled her body. Tang San. What a cruel guy. What a vicious son of fate. He actually absorbed the vitality and talent of Nana and the others. Hulaina's face also changed drastically, and her eyes became extremely cold. She could never have imagined that such a thing happened in the original novel. The original intention of holding the continent-wide Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite competition, but in order to select talents, the two sides are prohibited from making deadly attacks on each other, but the other party has clearly won, detoxified himself and others, and also sucked their life force. Does such a vicious person deserve to be the protagonist? Not only Bibi Dong and Hulaina were shocked, but even Shrek-san looked horrified when they saw this. Tang-san had such a vicious heart. What was the difference between him and the evil spirit master? Because he controls and absorbs your life force, so that none of you can notice it and still feel good about yourself. As everyone knows, the reason why you are in good mental condition is because your vitality is being overdrawn. You fell seriously ill soon after the incident, so you can only imagine your potential in the future. Tang-san, I am incompatible with you. Hulaina clenched her fists. If the diary owner hadn't told her, she couldn't imagine what the consequences would be. Bibi Dong's feelings for Hulaina are not just the relationship between a teacher and a disciple, but also treat her as her own daughter. Now seeing Nana having her vitality and talent sucked away by Tang-san in the original work, her whole face turned gloomy, and she shouted outside, Yuiguan, ghost. His Majesty the Pope. After hearing the call, Yu Guan and Gue Mei soon appeared in front of Bibi Dong and said respectfully. Bibi Dong looked at the two of them and asked coldly, where is Ling Yuan? Hasn't she sent any news yet? That when she first got a copy of the diary, Bibi Dong had already taken action and sent a Titled Douluo. Of course, she didn't ask the Titled Douluo to look for Wu Xing, but to look for Tang-san, who might be planning to destroy her. Ling Yuan Douluo hasn't sent back any news yet. Yu Guan and Gue Mei glanced at each other, then lowered their heads and said, what is this woman doing? It's been almost 10 days since she was sent out, and she can't even detect a soul lord. Bibi Dong's anger surged into her heart again after hearing this. If there is no specific information, forget it, like the diary owner at the beginning, but Tang-san is different. Wu Xing has already revealed a lot of useful information to him. Seeing the furious Bibi Dong, Yu Guan and Gue Mei were frightened. She had never seen His Majesty the Pope so angry. Your Majesty, do you want to send more people? Yu Guan and Gue Mei asked bravely. Bibi Dong's expression suddenly changed. She gritted her teeth and said, a Titled Douluo can't even do such a small thing, so what's the use of coming here? I'll inform her that she must capture Tang-san within 10 days. Yes, Your Majesty. Yu Guan and Gue Mei quickly responded and retreated. After giving the instructions, Bibi Dong looked at the copy of the diary again. This is the end of the Douluo World Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition. I have temporarily updated it here today. The number of words is already more than yesterday. I hope everyone wishes me to continue to be the European Emperor. Goodbye, beauties, we will see you tomorrow. No, maybe later. We will go to collect the reward first. After writing the last line, Wu Xing decisively exited the diary panel. However, many beauties holding copies of the diary did not take them back immediately, but instead waited quietly. If the reward the other party receives is incredible, the diary will definitely be updated soon. System, collect the reward. Wu Xing looked expectant. The number of words in the diary updated today is the largest in history. If it is really related to the number of words, I think the reward will not be bad. Ding, it is detected that the host has updated a diary, and the reward is X 100 Alpine Lollipops. Wu Xing was stunned for a long time. His expectant expression gradually turned ugly, and finally he shouted directly in his mind, System Go, you are playing tricks on me. Damn Alpine Lollipop. Is it easy for him to write a diary? The quality is not too bad, but the rewards you give are all ridiculous. Unfortunately, no matter how Wu Xing roared or cursed, the system's voice would not come through, which made him extremely discouraged. Old husband, what's wrong with you? Su Ruoshi asked nervously while looking at Wu Xing, who was originally happy, but his face turned very ugly. After hearing Su Ruoshi's words, Wu Xing came back to his senses, took a deep breath to calm himself down, then shook his head and said, It's nothing Ruoshi, you don't have to worry. Really, husband? Su Ruoshi said uncertainly. She was a little worried about what happened to her man, and she didn't tell her because she was worried. Of course it's true. Wu Xing forced a smile, and then said, Ruoshi, my husband treats you to a lollipop. Ah. Su Ruoshi was stunned for a moment, then her face turned red, and she lowered her head shyly, okay. After finishing speaking, he gently opened the quilt and shrank his body downwards. Ruoshi, what are you doing? Looking at Su Ruoshi who was about to unbuckle his belt, Wu Xing was a little confused, but he quickly reacted and was dumbfounded. The lollipop my husband mentioned this time is a real lollipop. After saying that, 2 lollipops appeared in his hand. Looking at the 2 strange candies shining in her man's hand, Su Ruoshi realized that she had misunderstood. She blushed so hard that she almost bled, and she felt a little embarrassed in front of others. Husband, you are teasing Ruoshi. Su Ruoshi kept hitting Wu Xing's chest with small fists. If it hadn't been for what her man said last night, how could she have misunderstood it? Haha. Looking at such a cute Su Ruoshi, Wu Xing laughed. He was worried about the reward, and his mood suddenly improved a lot. Grabbing Su Ruoshi's beating hand, Wu Xing smiled and said, then do you want it? Yes. Su Ruoshi raised her blushing head. When Wu Xing saw it, he smiled and lifted Su Ruoshi's body to his shoulders, peeled off the nylon cloth and then put it into her sexy little mouth. Sweet, this was Su Ruoshi's first reaction. Hubby, where did you get this candy? Su Ruoshi grabbed the lollipop and asked curiously. Wu Xing didn't have time to tell the other party about the diary reward he got. After hearing this, Su Ruoshi finally understood why her man's face dropped just now. Hee hee. Su Ruoshi smiled knowingly and licked the lollipop again. Looking at Su Ruoshi who dared to laugh at his man, Wu Xing glared at her. As if thinking of something, a malicious look appeared on his face and he asked, is it delicious? Yeah. Su Ruoshi nodded without thinking too much. Which one is better than the lollipop on my husband? Wu Xing showed his fangs. Su Ruoshi paused and looked at the man with a bad smile. She wanted to get into his arms, but she still suppressed her shyness and replied, my husband's food is delicious. Hearing Su Ruoshi's answer, Wu Xing smiled heartily again. What man wouldn't like to hear his woman answer like this, even if he knew that it was not very credible? Just as the two were flirting, there was a sudden sound of breaking glass, and then a graceful figure stumbled in from the balcony. Guess who? Chapter 57 Spirit Kite Douluo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The woman was wearing golden armor, but it was a bit tattered, her face was pale, and a trace of blood overflowed from the corner of her mouth. The moment he broke in and saw Wu Xing, a look of joy appeared on his pale face, but the next second the hand covering his chest shook, a mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth, and then he fell straight to the ground. Wu Xing and Su Ruoshi were both shocked by the scene in front of them. They were flirting with their girlfriends in the dormitory, but a strange woman suddenly broke in, and without saying a word, she spat out a mouthful of blood and lay on the ground. No one is confused, no one is shocked. Fortunately, it was not at the stage of carrying a gun into battle, otherwise the finger might have shriveled up, leaving an indelible shadow from now on. After the shock, Wu Xing quickly reacted. He quickly got out of bed and walked over. He stretched out his hand to explore and found that the other party still had some breath, but it was very weak and he might burp at any time. Realizing the condition of the other party at this time, Wu Xing did not dare to move. If he could not fix her burps, it would be a serious crime. After all, he was not a medical student in his previous life. Husband, who is this woman? At this time, Su Ruoshi also walked down from the bed and came to Wu Xing's side. She looked at the unconscious woman and asked quickly. I don't know. Wu Xing shook his head, and after saying that, he mobilized his soul power. In an instant, a begonia flower martial spirit appeared in front of him. 9 hearts begonia. Su Ruoshi's eyes suddenly widened and she exclaimed in disbelief, what kind of terrifying existence is my man? I have seen him display several martial arts spirits before, but now he even has the martial spirits of Sister Lingling. As the third soul ring bloomed, Joshin Begonia turned into star points of light and merged into the woman's body. After doing all this, Wu Xing felt that it was not safe, so he mobilized his martial spirit again, and a golden scepter appeared, and he released the healing soul skill on the woman lying on the ground. Following the same pattern, after using the healing technique, the golden scepter spirit in front of him turned into a healing scepter spirit. Su Ruoshi on the side was completely dumbfounded. Even the woman lying on the ground couldn't attract her attention. I don't know how long it took, and I don't know how many martial souls he changed, before Wu Xing stopped moving. At this time, under Wu Xing's free healing soul skills, the pale complexion of the woman on the ground began to recover, and her weak breath became calmer. It was obvious that under his treatment, the other party's serious injuries had been stabilized. Seeing this, Wu Xing said to Su Ruoshi, "Ruoshi, take her to the bed." "Okay." Su Ruoshi nodded and carried the woman to the bed without much thought. Wu Xing didn't need to say anything else. After putting her on the bed, Su Ruoshi went into the bathroom, took out a hot towel and started cleaning her up. At the same time, there was a knock on the door. "Brother Angkor, are you there? What happened inside?" Zhang Minghui's words rang out. The woman breaking the glass just now made a lot of noise, which attracted students from nearby dormitories to come and ask. Wu Xing glanced at Su Ruoshi, who was wiping the blood on the woman's body, and then said to Zhang Minghui outside the door, "It's okay, I was making trouble with Ruoshi just now and accidentally broke the window glass." "Oh." Zhang Minghui was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then said, "As long as everything is fine, I'll go back first." "Okay." Wu Xing shouted outside. Then there was no movement outside the door, and it was obvious that Zhang Minghui had left. As for accidentally breaking the dormitory glass, that is a small matter for the students in their college. Tiando Royal Academy is so arrogant. Returning to the bed, Su Ruoshi had already wiped the woman clean and began to clean up the blood on the floor. Wu Xing looked at the woman lying on the bed. Although some color had returned to her face, it made him frown. This woman seemed a bit familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere before. His eyes swept across her face and onto the golden armor she was wearing, and a picture suddenly emerged in his mind. Is her elder of Wuhuan Palace. He is also a titled Douluo, Lingyuan Douluo, that he said. Why does this woman look familiar? She turns out to be an original anime character, one of the few female titled Douluo. Wu Xing was deeply impressed by this female titled Douluo. One of his favorite beauties had only appeared twice, once in the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect and once in the Star Dough Forest, but he liked such a charming lady, but it was a pity that he took the lunchbox early because he was greedy for success. But now the plot has not even reached the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite competition. How come this woman was so seriously injured? If it weren't for the treatment he just performed, the other party would probably be dead. Even though the opponent didn't appear many times, he was still a genuine titled Douluo. There were very few people in the entire continent who could bring her to the brink of death. Of course, one thing is certain, this woman should have a copy of the diary. After all, when the other person broke in and saw him just now, his face showed involuntary joy. He didn't think that a titled Douluo like the other party would show such an expression when he saw a random soul lord in a severely injured state. While Wu Xing was thinking, Su Ruoshi had already cleaned the room, and then slowly came to her man's side. "Husband, don't you need to inform the education committee?" She just heard the conversation between her man and Zhang Minghui, and it was obvious that Wu Xing did not intend to report the matter. "No, I remember who this woman is." Wu Xing shook his head and said. "Husband, who is this sister?" Su Ruoshi asked curiously. Wu Xing replied, "He is an elder of Wuhuan Palace, or a titled Douluo." "What?" Su Ruoshi covered her mouth in shock. Titled Douluo was an existence that was out of reach for a student like her, and most importantly, the titled Douluo was omnipotent in her eyes, so how could he be seriously injured? "Husband, will you admit your mistake?" After hearing this, Wu Xing looked at Su Ruoshi funnily. "You still doubt me?" "No. No, I just think that this sister is not old. How can she be a titled Douluo?" Su Ruoshi answered truthfully. Hearing Su Ruoshi's words, Wu Xing felt even more amused and said, "Do you think all titled Douluo are old men like Dugu? are you polite? No. Isn't it? Su Ruoshi was confused. She was from a pretty good background, a member of a big family from a kingdom affiliated with the Tiando Empire, but even so, Titled Douluo had only heard of her but never seen her. If it weren't for her trip to Tiando City and meeting Lonely Bo, she didn't know if she would ever be able to see a Titled Douluo in her life. Of course not. Wu Xing shook his head and explained, when you reach the title of Douluo, you can mobilize your own soul power to maintain your appearance. Can it still be like this? When Su Ruoshi heard this, she opened her mouth in surprise. That's right, so Ruoshi, you have to work hard. If you don't want your appearance to age so quickly, you should increase your soul power level as soon as possible and reach the title Douluo level as soon as possible. Wu Xing joked with a smile. Su Ruoshi's expression changed slightly. Titled Douluo, can she do it? Chapter 58 The Temptation from Titled Douluo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The woman's injuries were serious, especially the ribs on her chest, which were broken several times. Even if Wu Xing used a lot of healing soul skills, it would not be easy to recover. Seeing that this woman probably wouldn't wake up today, Wu Xing and Su Ruoshi left the room and went to stay in her original dormitory, leaving this place to her. When he got up early the next morning, he went to see the woman. She was still in a coma, but her face was no longer pale. Wu Xing didn't stay long, had breakfast and went to gather. Just like yesterday, the main thing was to cultivate the team's tacit understanding and teamwork. The whole morning was spent in mimicry practice. In the afternoon, I had free time. When I returned to my room after lunch, I was surprised to find that the woman who was originally unconscious had woken up and was leaning on the bedside in a daze. You're awake. Wu Xing said, slightly surprised. When the woman saw Wu Xing coming in, her face flashed with joy, and then she nodded and said, yes. How do you feel now? Wu Xing came to the other party, pulled up a chair and sat down, asking with concern. Much better, I should be able to fully recover in a few days. Although the woman's complexion was not very good, the smile between her brows at Wu Xing was extremely charming, coupled with the very pleasant sound of Yu Jie's voice. Wu Xing, who already had a soft spot for Yu Jie, couldn't sit still. Of course, the other party's smile at Wu Xing was not a deliberate expression, but she had a charming temperament. After calming down his accelerating heartbeat, Wu Xingcai nodded and said, don't worry, you can recuperate here, no one will bother you. Yeah. The woman responded. Wu Xing looked at the woman and asked, by the way, should I call you Ling Yuan? Or something else? Ling Yuan is my name, just call me Ling Yuan. Ling Yuan responded with a smile. Although she is several rounds older than Wu Xing and is a titled Douluo, she is the owner of the diary, so it is most appropriate to be friends with her as equals. Besides, calling it this way makes it seem more friendly, doesn't it? Okay. Wu Xing nodded and asked, you should know my name, right? I know, the owner of the diary, Wu Xing. Ling Yuan looked at Wu Xing with a smile. Sure enough, the other party had a copy of the diary. Wu Xing knew it and pointed to Su Ruoshi beside him and said, she is my girlfriend, Su Ruoshi. She helped clean up your injuries. Hello, Sister Ling Yuan. Su Ruoshi greeted a little nervously. After looking at Su Ruoshi, Ling Yuan thanked her. Thank you, Sister Ruoshi. The little girl in front of her is quite good-looking. No wonder she was able to make the owner of the diary his wife. No need, Sister Ling Yuan, you're welcome. Su Ruoshi waved her hand quickly. After all, he was a titled Douluo. Facing such an existence, she felt tremendous pressure. After a brief introduction, Wu Xingfang changed the topic to the other party. What happened to you before that seriously injured a titled Douluo? This. Ling Yuan hesitated when she heard this. She came to Tiando City to capture Tang San on the order of the Pope. As an elder of Wuhuan Hall, naturally, such things cannot be told to others casually. If it's not convenient to reveal it, forget it. Seeing Ling Yuan's appearance, Wu Xing didn't insist on understanding. It's nothing. I just followed the Pope's order to capture Tang San, but I never thought that there was a powerful titled Douluo behind him to protect him. Ling Yuan thought about it for a while and finally said it. she felt there was no need to hide the owner of the diary. After all, she still wanted to have a good relationship with him, even if the Pope knew about it afterwards, he probably wouldn't blame himself. That's it. After Wu Xing heard this, he immediately understood how the other party was injured. Seeing that Wu Xing seemed to know something, Ling Yuan asked, "Do you know that Titled Douluo?" "Well, he is Tang San's father, Haotian Douluo Tang Hao." Wu Xing nodded and replied. Haotian Douluo. Ling Yuan's pupils shrank. No wonder he was also a Titled Douluo. When he faced the grey-robed man, he was unable to fight back. "It seems that I will not be able to complete this mission. There is already a gap between Titled Douluo and Titled Douluo, not to mention that Tang Hao once severely injured the previous pope. Even Yu Guan and Gui Mei were suppressed and beaten. How could she be able to deal with him?" Seeing Ling Yuan, who was silent, Wu Xing asked, "What are your plans after you recover from your injuries?" "Go back to Wuhuan Palace and report this matter to the Pope." Ling Yuan said without hesitation. After hearing Ling Yuan's decision, Wu Xing was not surprised. He was just a little surprised that the other party was a little different from the one shown in the original work. He didn't seem to be the kind of person who was greedy for success and rash. "Why were you so impulsive when you surrounded and killed the Great Ming and the Second Ming in the Star Do Forest? Could it be that he is an original anime character, so the plot kills him and reduces his sanity? This is not impossible, but it is a pity for such a beautiful and charming Yujie." Seeing that Wu Xing's question was silent, Ling Yuan asked doubtfully, "Is there something wrong?" "No." Wu Xing shook his head, but as his pen pal, he still felt it was necessary to remind the other party and said, "Try not to get involved in the affairs of the Son of Destiny in the future." "Why?" Ling Yuan was a little confused by Wu Xing's words, but remembering that the other party knew the original plot direction, she couldn't help but ask, "Do you know anything, such as my ending?" As expected of a Titled Douluo, he immediately guessed what he might encounter from Wu Xing's advice. "Well, according to the original plot, you will be offline when hunting the Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape in the Star Do Forest, which means you will die." Wu Xing answered truthfully. When Ling Yuan heard this, she frowned and said, "What does this have to do with that Tang San?" "Of course it does matter. The soul rings of the 200,000-year soul beasts in the original work belong to him." Wu Xing smiled. Although Xiao Wu and Tang San are currently in conflict and will break up later if nothing unexpected happens, the other party is the protagonist of this world after all, and is protected by luck, so something outrageous may happen. Hearing this, Ling Yuan was slightly startled. For a moment, she suddenly thought of something. She gently pushed back the hair by her ears with her bare hands, and then said charmingly, "Then what if I really encounter misfortune one day? Wu Xing, you won't just die without saving me, will you?" "Ah." Seeing Ling Yuan's seductive behavior and the electric eyes towards him, Wu Xing couldn't bear it. The woman in front of her is incomparable to Ning Rongrong. The little witch has not yet grown up, but this woman in front of her is a mature woman. There is no comparison between the two. Su Ruoxi on the side was dumbfounded when she saw Ling Yuan deliberately flirting with her man. She was not jealous because of this, but was extremely surprised. The other party was a Titled Douluo, and he actually seduced her own man, which made her feel unprecedented enjoyment. Even a Titled Douluo can put aside his identity to seduce Wu Xing, but she is the first woman he admits to. How could Su Ruoxi not be proud? Chapter 59. This Japanese lady asks you to calm down. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the embarrassment of the owner of the diary in front of her, Ling Yuan's mouth curved slightly. This guy's behavior was a bit different from what he showed in the diary. Before, he was so arrogant that he wanted to embrace all the beauties in the world. Before, he clamored to crown the Pope. What about the young and frivolous mother and daughter who have all become masters and apprentices? Why are they all gone? You feel shy when you are teased like this. How will you complete your great career in the future? A typical strong-mouthed king with a lusty heart but no courage. In his previous life, he would have been a so-called keyboard warrior. Wu Xing naturally didn't know what Lingyuan Douluo was thinking. The reason why he behaved like this was because the strength of the two sides was not equal. If it were a little witch like Ning Rongrong who dared to tease him like this, let's see if he dared to do it directly. A pony pulls a cart, a mother and daughter make rice bowls, the legacy of Wei and Wu, etc., these are all basic practices. Ahem, Ling Yuan was joking. As long as you take proper precautions, how could you encounter misfortune? Wu Xing pretended to cough and relieved the embarrassment on his face, but if he wanted the other party to have sex with him for nothing, it would be absolutely impossible. It's impossible, I have to add, no, I promise with my body. Ling Yuan looked happy and found it interesting, and raised another eyebrow. Sister, what if it happens? The numb voice came again, and Wu Xing was immediately startled, especially the sister who added the clip sound, as expected of a well-versed Yujia, and even more worthy of a titled Douluo. This method of seducing people was not something that ordinary soul masters could do, and he couldn't resist it at all. Feeling ashamed in his heart, Wu Xing replied, Ling Yuan, can we stop joking? That he still clung to his few remaining beliefs, there was no way to do it for nothing, there had to be substantial benefits. Seeing that the owner of the diary was beginning to waver, Ling Yuan could not give up and continued teasing, Sister, I'm not joking. Seriously, if you encounter misfortune one day, you can't just ignore it. Of course, Sister will not let you help in vain. I will agree to your request, any request. After saying that, Ling Yuan winked at Wu Xing with a look that both you and I understand. Hiss. Wu Xing took a breath of cold air. If you can't stand it, you can't stand it. Such a royal sister will really kill you. However, he is not a fool. After all, he is a man who has been among thousands of flowers. He shot back, does this count this time? Ling Yuan was stunned for a moment, and then chuckled, forget it, of course, my sister means what she says, but you have to wait for her to recover. You don't want her injured body to get worse, right? Wu Xing was dumbfounded. In their first confrontation, he was completely defeated. This Japanese netizen, you have to calm down. Realizing that he had no way to defend himself against the imperial sister in front of him, Wu Xing changed the subject. Ling Yuan, you haven't eaten for a day, do you want me to ask Ruashi to go to the cafeteria to prepare some food for you to regain your strength? Get some nutrition. Are you so impatient to have your sister? Ling Yuan rolled her eyes at Wu Xing, her eyes filled with enchanting charm. Wu Xing called out to heaven, earth, and omnipotent readers, you should take this beauty home. You can't stand it at all. Ling Yuan looked at Wu Xing's bad appearance, smiled softly, and stopped teasing him, saying, now that you say that, my sister is a little hungry, so I'll trouble Sister Ruashi. No. No need. Su Ruashi shook her head quickly and was about to get up and go to the cafeteria, but was stopped by Wu Xing the next second. Ruashi, I'll go get the food, and you can chat with Ling Yuan. After saying that, regardless of whether Su Ruashi agreed or not, he just stood up and left. He had to ease his mood. Pfft. Looking at Wu Xing running away, Ling Yuan couldn't help laughing. This little man was quite cute. Even Su Ruashi didn't have time to show a gentle smile when she saw her man running out of the room. This was the first time she saw Wu Xing looking so embarrassed. When he first faced Senior Dugu, who was also a titled Douluo, he always had a calm expression on his face. Wu Xing breathed a sigh of relief as he walked out of the room. Sure enough, titled Douluo is titled Douluo. As one of the few in the Douluo world, there are still female titled Douluo. Anyone who is not a human spirit can seduce people easily. He was certain that the opponent's hasty way of logging off the line in the original novel was definitely a plot kill by Empress Xuanji. Of course, he also understands that the reason why the other party behaves like this and speaks half-truths and half-lies is to bring the relationship closer. After all, everyone has different communication methods with each other. This is a quick way for her to close the relationship. Don't you see that although he looked a little embarrassed, he didn't feel any unhappiness at all in his heart, but instead had an unspeakable expectation. After walking all the way to the college cafeteria and asking the aunt in the kitchen to pack a lunchbox, Wu Xing returned to the room. When I opened the door and took a look, I was slightly surprised when I saw Su Ruashi and Ling Yuan talking and laughing. I didn't expect that this woman had even taken care of her own girlfriend, showing an expression full of starry adoration. Take a look and see if it suits your taste. When he came to the bed, Wu Xing placed several lunch boxes on the bedside table and opened them one by one. Ling Yuan glanced at Wu Xing, smiled and said, "Sister is very well raised and not picky about food." Words mean a lot. Wu Xing sweated again. God, his cat is very easy to take care of and he is not picky about food. You are a titled Douluo. I am just a soul master. You shouldn't be the one to take care of me, right? In that case, you eat first while I update the diary. Wu Xing said after handing the chopsticks to the other party's hand. Okay. Ling Yuan did not continue the topic. When Wu Xing saw it, he said nothing. Instead, he sat aside and opened the diary panel and began to write today's content. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, we meet again. As Wu Xing updated the diary, Ling Yuan on the side also received the reminder of the copy of the diary immediately. Without thinking too much, he opened his copy of the diary and read the words that emerged with relish while eating the food. Yesterday, I disappointed everyone. The quality of diary rewards has nothing to do with the number of words. The rewards in the past few days were so good. It was purely a matter of luck. Sure enough, there was no such bug in the system. The hope of getting better rewards through word count has been dashed. But that's okay. I don't have to deliberately add the word count. I have to figure it out so that you don't think it's watery. It takes a lot of brain cells. Seeing all the diary holders here, they were immediately speechless. This guy also said that he won't let them feel stupid. How many words have you started with? Have you got to the point? As for the reward, what they want to see now is the reward, so give it out. Even if the reward is not good, they still want to know. Ling Yuan did the same. She looked away from the copy of the diary, looked up at Wu Xing, and rolled her eyes at him angrily. Wu Xing, you were talking about rewards. What reward? Wu Xing asked knowingly. He naturally knew what the other party was talking about, but how could he say it? Say Alpine Lollipop. Are you kidding? This system has bad intentions. He was still thinking about how he could destroy Go's system by letting Ning Rongrong, the little witch, taste the lollipop on his body. Chapter 60, I Punch Hard in the Diary. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The reward you got yesterday. Ling Yuan couldn't help but feel a little funny. Could this guy have received some shameless reward? Otherwise, how could you pretend to be confused? Thinking about it this way, she became even more curious about the reward. Aha, the weather is so nice today. Wu Xing looked at the balcony with a careless eye. When Su Ruoshi saw her man's appearance, she pursed her lips and chuckled, and then said with a smile, Sister Ling Yuan, Ruoshi knows the reward my husband received yesterday. Huh? Ling Yuan's eyes lit up, and then she winked at Su Ruoshi in a sly manner, asking her to speak quickly. When he heard his woman's words, Wu Xing paused, and then slowly turned his head to look. Good guy, I almost forgot about this girl. Su Ruoshi glanced at her man and saw that he was not angry, so she whispered into Ling Yuan's ear. After hearing this, Ling Yuan was stunned for a moment, and then became very confused. Is this it? Is there anything to be embarrassed to say? As if she knew what Ling Yuan was thinking, Su Ruoshi explained next to her earlobe. In an instant, you could see with the naked eye that the other party's ears turned red, and then he glared at Wu Xing fiercely and said something. This guy. Sure enough, he is still the same, not changed at all. Can you all relate to this? Wu Xing also didn't expect that his own woman would dare to say anything. Of course, the most surprising thing is that when he just went to get food, the two of them became so good and talked about everything. But in response to Ling Yuan's pout, Wu Xing said with a smile, Then do you want to try it? Are you telling the truth, or is it something that's on you? Faced with Wu Xing's teasing, Ling Yuan didn't care at all and asked with a smile. At the end, he didn't forget to look at a certain part of the other person and licked his red lips. Wu Xing surrendered once again and simply ignored this familiar goblin. Sorry, beauties, I was interrupted by a goblin just now, so the update didn't keep up. Wu Xing can't face the opponent directly, but in the diary, it is his domain, incarnate as a keyboard warrior who blocks gods and kills gods and Buddhas. What kind of fairy? The girls looked at the words that appeared after a long pause, and were all stunned. Wu Xing, you're going to die. Ling Yuan, who heard the diary update, almost spat out the food she was chewing in her mouth when she saw the latest line. Although she is a titled Douluo, many of the diary holders inside are stronger than her. Let's not mention the Kesha, Lu Shen, and the ruthless emperor mentioned before. Even the Pope has to treat her with respect. The presence, what if the Pope found out about him and seduced the owner of the diary without telling her, and he would reap the rewards? Wu Xing ignored Ling Yuan's coquettish tone and started writing on his own. This goblin is also the holder of the diary. Oh, he is also your subordinate, Bibi Dong, spirit Kite Douluo among the elders of Wuhuan Palace. She was seriously injured yesterday, and she was already dying when she found me. If she had been a step later, she might have died. Speaking of which, I have to talk about Donger again. Why did you send her to catch Tang San? I wonder if Tang Hao is always protecting him behind him. With her three-legged cat Kung Fu, why? Maybe Tang Hao's opponent. Wu Xing. Ling Yuan was so angry that her chest hurt when she saw this, and the ribs that were finally connected might break. Her three-legged cat Kung Fu. Believe it or not, when I recover, I can easily hold you down and squeeze you dry. She can't beat Tang Hao, and she can't beat you, the Soul Master. On the other side, Wuhuan City, Pope Bibi Dong's eyes narrowed when he saw this, and he automatically ignored what Wu Xing, a black fan, said about her. Ling Yuan found the owner of the diary. And also seriously injured. And Tang Hao was always protecting Tang San. No, Ling Yuan also has a copy of the diary. Why didn't she know that the other party didn't report it to her? Bibi Dong had a lot on his mind. First he was surprised that Ling Yuan came to Wu Xing, then he was shocked by Tang San's protector Tang Hao, and now he was even more angry that his subordinate kept it from him. Then I thought about it and felt that it was understandable. I sent her out as soon as I got the copy of the diary. It was not surprising that the other party did not have time to understand the copy of the diary and did not report to me, but understanding is understanding, and if you fail to report what you know, you will be punished. Fortunately, your subordinate should not have been killed, and he found me in time. After a quick attack, I finally rescued her. But at this point, let's talk about this young lady Ling Yuan. Her identity is quite interesting. She is actually not a character in the original work, but an original model from the anime. Because it is an original work, it has little to do with the plot, but considering that it is a titled Douluo, it is also a very important figure in the Douluo world and cannot just disappear like a supporting character. Thus, her ending was very funny. In the end, when she was capturing 100,000-year soul beast, she ended her sinful life early because of her greed for success. When Wu Xing wrote this, he looked at Ling Yuan, whose face had darkened, and felt funny in his heart. In reality, I am submissive, but in the diary, I punch hard. Ling Yuan gritted her teeth when she saw this. This little man was so stingy. He could only make a joke and take revenge in his diary. You wait, sister, wait until my body recovers, see if I don't hold you down, and give you a good whipping. Reader, sister, are you punishing him or rewarding him? Let's do it. When Bibi Dong saw this, a strange look appeared on her face. She didn't expect that her subordinate would have such an experience. However, now that I have traveled through time, this spiritual Kite Douluo, as my pen pal, will certainly not watch her make the same mistakes again. Not just her, but you too. If you encounter misfortune, I will not just watch you fall. This little man still has some conscience. Seeing this, Ling Yuan lost most of his anger. When he recovered, he punished him and at the same time fulfilled the other's little wish. Ling Yuan remembered what Su Ruoshi had just said to her, but then she frowned. Although she is very charming, she behaves like a seasoned driver, but she has never been with a man and she doesn't know how to lick a lollipop. What should I do? As for beauties from other worlds, you don't have to worry. Since the system has distributed my diary to you, it will definitely not be that simple. If one day I go to your world and find that important characters like you in the anime have disappeared, I will use the resurrection technique to resurrect you. And considering the cooldown time of the resurrection spell, don't mention asking me to help resurrect your loved ones. After all, time is limited. Can you understand? Of course, if the time for the resurrection spell is reduced, I will help as appropriate. After seeing what Wu Xing wrote, all the girls had a great impression of the diary owner. There was no relationship between the two parties. It was a great kindness for him to do this. Naturally, they would not be so greedy that they would let the other side do anything.